Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to News Dose, and sorry if my voice is a little messed up today. I am sick yet again. Nothing too bad, but the show must go on, and the week of Xbox continues to roll. A big leak hit Xbox the fans are going to absolutely love. A major PlayStation 5 exclusive might be inbound for the Xbox Series, according to at least one trusted insider, and we're going to talk about that today. Also, Ubisoft made a lot of gamers mad. What's new, right? But this one specifically is in regards to the increasingly alarming question about game preservation. I really think that this is just such a nuanced topic by this point, so do make sure to stay tuned for all of that as well. Let's just go and get right into things, though, starting off with Foamstars. Of course, we talked about this game just yesterday because it is launching next month as a part of the PlayStation Plus lineup. I think that that's a smart move on their part because while there has been some positive online reception, it still feels like Foamstars hasn't exactly broken into the mainstream. There has been a lot of skepticism for this title as well, so maybe being a part of PlayStation Plus will help. It'll also help, though, by coming to more platforms, and lo and behold, sounds like that's very much going to happen. Right at the end of the trailer in fine print, it does state, quote-unquote, that it's not available in other formats before August 5th of 2024. So based on that, it sounds like this is going to be a 6-month PlayStation timed exclusive, in which then it'll be free to go to PC, Xbox, and maybe even the Nintendo Switch too. I mean, a lot of people want to compare Foamstars to Splatoon anyways, so who knows? It might feel right at home on Nintendo's next platform. Instead of Splatoon 4, you'll have Foamstars. But either way, this being a live service game, it's going to need to really expand its reach. Getting on as many platforms as they possibly can would probably be a very good move for them. Right now, they can kind of use PlayStation Plus and its exclusivity to garner some attention, but it does sound like it will eventually come to all platforms, maybe even by the end of 2024. Oh, and we also got a very strange update for Final Fantasy XIV on Xbox. I know there's a lot of anticipation for this release, and apparently so much so that Xbox Wire just couldn't contain themselves at all because they mistakenly posted a big article that claimed that Final Fantasy XIV's beta was out yesterday. Now, this surprised a lot of people because Square Enix has already stated that they're aiming for a February 21st release. So this did lead to some confusion online until eventually Xbox came out and said, hey, this was a mistake, our bad. So they've since deleted that article, but I don't know, maybe somebody at Xbox just scheduled something wrong. Who knows what happened with all that? It was just this whole weird thing. But there were a few details that we can take away from that now deleted announcement. They did confirm that the Xbox Series X will support 4K resolution and faster load times. I think that that's to be expected, but one of the things about this release is that it will come included with some upgraded visuals. So that 4K resolution and faster load times, that's pretty nice to see on the Xbox Series X. Here's the great news though. Xbox players will get the very popular free trial that includes content all the way up to the Stormblood expansion, and more importantly, everything that you do in the beta will carry over to the full release. So they're giving players plenty of reason to try this game out, and there's really no reason to wait until its full release. There's just so much content in Final Fantasy XIV that getting into it as early as possible, might be for the best because Xbox players has years of content to catch up on. As soon as we get a more official announcement for its release date, though, I will let you all know right away. Also, here's a very welcome announcement. I know there's some love out there for the Mario plus Rabbids series. This is quietly one of the better Mario spin-offs to date. Though, when Sparks of Hope first launched, Ubisoft wasn't thrilled by its commercial success. They seemed to believe that it was a little disappointing at that time. We, however, have since gotten an update, as it's now claimed that Sparks of Hope has eclipsed 3 million units sold. Now, to be fair, a lot of that probably comes from discounts. This game has consistently had some pretty major discounts over the course of its life. But at the same time, I feel like this is a game that was probably always best suited for around $40 at launch. I mean, now this game is being sold for like $20, but I do kind of wonder how it would have originally sold at that $40 price tag instead of their asking price of $60. This is something that a lot of publishers really have a hard time grasping, but not every game needs to be $60, $70. Not every game even needs to be $50. Sometimes it's best to have that lower price tag because people will enter at that lower barrier. And it seems like a few games releases every single year, and they just can't seem to grasp that idea. And I feel like Mario plus Rabbids is one of those series. It's a game that will sell really well at that $30 to $40 range, but if you make it $60, people are probably just going to wait. Let's go talk about Xbox, though. Of course, we do have the big developer direct tomorrow. I know I'm very excited for that event, and I hope you all are as well. But to kind of set your expectations going in, these are some of the rumors and details that we're currently hearing. It is a 48-minute long showcase according to its YouTube premiere, which is actually 4 minutes longer than last year. Xbox has also kind of hinted that there will be no shadow drops this time. But however, there is a rumor going around that a 5th unannounced game will happen. It's expected to be a smaller title. I am going to go and predict Double Fine. We'll see if I'm right or wrong about that. But this does kind of line up with the showcase's runtime, basically being the same as last year, where they also showcased 5 games. So we'll see about all that. But last but not least here, don't expect any kind of Activision Blizzard news. Xbox has already confirmed that they will not be there. So I thought we would at least cover that just here for a moment. But there is actually a major Xbox leak going around that isn't related to the Xbox Direct. So this is coming from Corden, and allegedly, Xbox fans don't just have Final Fantasy XIV to look forward to right now, but he allegedly has evidence, tentatively, that there are discussions about Final Fantasy VII for Xbox. Now, the way he was speaking, it doesn't necessarily sound like this is going to happen immediately. It'll probably take some time, and it'll likely be sometime after Rebirth. I mean, you have to kind of think about it this way. Square Enix is launching Rebirth next month. That is a huge title for them, and all of their marketing will pour into its launch. And I think that that's the right decision for them to make. If I were them, though, something that I would think about doing is announcing some kind of combo set in the future for Xbox. Something that we do know is that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has a timed exclusive deal of just 3 months. That is something that PlayStation has shown in the trailers for Rebirth. Now, we don't know the specific details on that contract and what it looks like, but hypothetically, if Final Fantasy VII Rebirth will be free to go to Xbox after just 3 months, if that's the case, something that Square Enix could do is announce the first game and the sequel together for Xbox. They could sell them separately and also have a combo set at a discounted price, and that would immediately catch Xbox fans up. Now, I'm just speculating, but this is not the first time that we've heard that Square Enix might be bringing over their big games to the Xbox brand. I mean, we just talked about Final Fantasy XIV a moment ago. That was years in the making, and this all happened when Phil Spencer showed up on stage with Square Enix just last year. They made a big deal about this announcement. Square Enix on stage promised to release more games for the Xbox brand whenever possible. Now, that is the key line, though, whenever possible. A lot of this does depend on what type of contracts Square Enix has with Sony. They are obligated to uphold those contracts that they made before this announcement with Xbox. But here we are now, and we're hearing from Corden that there's legitimate conversations about Final Fantasy VII on Xbox. So at the very least, it does sound like there's internal plans between the two and that this will eventually happen. And if that is true, when is kind of the next big question? In that case, we can maybe look at the 3-month timed exclusive deal for Rebirth. Maybe then they can make an announcement like that. But either way, it definitely sounds like there is a chance that games like Final Fantasy VII Remake, Rebirth, and 16 will be available on Xbox at some point in the future. Maybe even as early as this year, depending on how much work Square Enix and Xbox can get done and when that contract ends. If this does happen this year, though, I'm thinking maybe an announcement at the Xbox June showcase. That really seems like the best place to announce something like this. But either way, it is great to hear that this Xbox Square Enix partnership is actually producing something big for fans. Let's just kind of hope that this ultimately proves true. And if it does, let's also hope that the third Final Fantasy VII Remake will launch simultaneously across all platforms. It does kind of seem like Square Enix, under its new leadership, is moving further away from those exclusive deals, if anything else. And I think that that's also good for Nintendo fans as well. I mean, you have to keep in mind that there was a big rumor just last year that Square Enix had the Final Fantasy VII Remake running on the Switch successor. So I think Nintendo fans need to kind of perk up to this news as well. There is a chance that at least that game could end up on the Switch successor. Let me know what you all think about this, though. Do you believe this rumor? Do you think this will finally happen or not? Okay, now one last thing that we need to talk about is Ubisoft and their idea of the future for gaming. They were talking about their Ubisoft Plus subscription and how that's worked out for them. They mentioned that there's a lot of opportunity for growth, but then they started to compare it to other forms of media and went on to say this, which has caught a lot of heat online. They said, one of the things that we saw is that gamers are used to, a little bit like DVD, having and owning their games. That's the consumer shift that needs to happen. They got comfortable not owning their CD collection or DVD collection. That's a transformation that's been a bit slower to happen in games. As gamers grow comfortable in that aspect, you don't lose your progress. If you resume your game at another time, your progress file is still there. That's not been deleted. You don't lose what you've built in the game or your engagement with the game. So it's about feeling comfortable with not owning your game. I still have 2 boxes of DVDs. I definitely understand the gamer's perspective with that, but as people embrace that model, they will see that these games will exist, the service will continue, and you'll be able to access them when you feel like. That's reassuring. And sure, that would be reassuring if we could see into the future. If you could tell gamers right now with 100% certainty that their digital games will be accessible 10, 20, or even 50 years from now, I'm sure a lot of them would be on board because digital games are convenient. There's no doubt about that. However, we as gamers have to trust the content that we buy with these corporations, which can't really make that promise. I mean, we just saw this happen last year. Sony and Discovery had some kind of licensing dispute, and Sony was originally planning to take any Discovery content away from their customers who previously purchased them. So the idea that a company could come in and take away your purchased content just like that is a concern. They broke that trust, and that is a problem. What happens 20 years from now when they might consider taking their servers down? What happens if a company like Ubisoft shuts down? Can they still reassure fans that they can easily access their content? I think that that's the concern fans have. To be completely fair here, though, modern physical games are not perfect either. As a physical collector myself, I hate to say that, but it's 100% true. Anytime that we talk about game preservation, I do have to at least acknowledge that because most big games anymore do come with major day one patches. And then there's also other games that just don't even come included with all of its content in the first place. So modern physical games aren't perfect either. But the idea is that at least you can access and play most of your games in the future without completely relying on a corporation. Some games, not all games, but some do come included on the disc, and they're not completely broken without a patch. I don't know though, it definitely seems like the game industry is shifting to an all-digital future. I think that that's basically what Ubisoft is trying to shift towards as well. I mean, all of these companies want it, it's just Ubisoft is, they're publicly saying this, probably not smart on their part, but that's what they're doing here. So I mean, if they do get their way, who knows how long we're going to have physical media with our consoles. I think we'll at least have one more generation after this, but after that, I mean, who knows? Streaming might be a lot bigger by that point, and digital certainly will be because it's already shifting in that direction as is. I want to hear your all's thoughts on this subject, though. Do you like the idea of a digital-only future or not? Anyways, though, that's it for this episode. Next time you all hear from me, we will be talking about the Xbox Developer Direct. But till next time, peace out.